Big Rab Show podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Woo, it seems like no time since the last one, but yep, here we are. But I have to say, we're back in more familiar territory. Yeah, back in the studio again to run through all of the piping news and views, of which there's plenty to catch up on, obviously. There's been a lot happen over this past few weeks, so we'll get into all of it, of course. And we've got a pretty amazing topic of the week to bring you. Yeah, an interview with quite an exciting musical figure. He's taking bagpiping in a whole new direction, and you'll hear all about that later. But, yeah, first of all, let's get through our introductions then, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. Yeah, and like every other podcast out there, it's the old cliche at this point. Yes, we do have a Patreon. I have to say, our Patreon faithful have been really killing it this last while. So thank you to everyone over there for your continued support. It really does mean the world to us here in the Rab Show. And your support does really genuinely help us make all sorts of great content. And as a result, you guys get a whole dose of extras as well. So yeah, check out all the backstage stuff from the Kids with Cancer Night. There's exclusive performances and interviews and things like that that haven't seen the light of day and are just exclusive to Patreon subscribers. So if you do want to go and check those out, yeah, click on the link that's in the show notes right now and be part of the Patreon faithful. Yeah, that they are awesome. We love our community over there on Patreon who really do help us out here a great deal. Absolutely. So, that's the plug out of the way, but yeah, let's get into the show good and proper. Each and every week we open our door to listener mail, and this week's no different. bigrabshow@gmail.com, that address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Now, I have to say, probably the vast majority of our email that we got over this past week or so has been all about the Kids with Cancer charity night. Yeah, if you haven't listened to last week's podcast, by the way, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go back, listen to last week's episode, even before you listen to this one. All right? I can't tell you just how much of an amazing night that was. And thank you to everyone who did give us all sorts of great feedback to say you really enjoyed last week's pod with the interviews and such, but also the music that we presented on last week's show. You know, some of the performances, we just had to bring them to the pod. That we were honestly thinking at the time that we would just let the performances sit on our YouTube channel. They're up there now, by the way. I know, another shameless plug. But yeah, we filmed the whole thing. All those clips and music performances, they're all up there on our YouTube channel now. You can go and watch the entire thing. But yeah, we did decide to bring a lot of that music to the pod because a lot of it was just too good not to share. Yeah, one of the big talking points, well, there was a couple actually. The 70s tribute band absolutely lifted the roof on the place. It was so good. And yeah, if you heard last week's pod, you know exactly the reason why. Yeah, that 1973 World Championship winning medley that they played was just jaw-dropping. And then obviously the Cullen Bay set that they played as well. Come on. And the 12-8. Anyway, they thumped out some massive big tunes and had a lot of people talking that night about the quality of the music that was on offer from them. And yeah, I'm absolutely a huge fan of the 70s tribute band. Looking forward to hearing more from them. Apparently, they do have more appearances in the books, as we heard in last week's show. So we will keep you posted on those as they get announced. So yeah, a lot to enjoy there. Also, we have to give a particular mention to St. Lawrence O'Toole, who only played a mini band by all accounts, but it looked to be quite a full band to me, to be honest. Yeah, it was quite huge, and they had a massive big sound, and yeah, we need to talk about their new medley. Everyone seemed to be talking about the construction of their new medley. Now, they did break it into two halves. all right? We see this quite often whenever it comes to concerts and stuff, where Grade 1 big guns will unveil a new set, but sometimes they break it in two, all right? So they play up to the slow air and stop, and then they kick off at the slow air and finish. And that happens a lot. And yeah, everyone talking about St. Lawrence O'Toole and that medley construction, yeah, we played it in full last night on Fuse, and the reaction, wow, I think a lot of people really loved it. And even those who are not into piping were asking questions going, wow, what was that you just played, Rab? That was kind of an orchestra playing rather than a pipe band. It really was, yeah, orchestral, I think is the word I want to use. It was just really, really brilliant. And also, I have to say, the drumming from St. Lawrence O'Toole was another level. Obviously, we did mention it on the show last week where we talked about their use of tenor drumming, and that's really starting to cut through. They're, using a lot of integration from the tenors now, which just absolutely sung towards the last half of the medley. But also the drummers incorporating backsticking, just as if it's another tool to use, and used effortlessly as well, but also to great musical effect. Anyway, I'm waxing lyrical, all right? But trust me, if you haven't heard last week's pod, please go back and have a listen to it. It's absolutely a cracker. And yeah, we had to bring that music to the show. So yeah, full congratulations to Gary Smith, St. Lawrence O'Toole, 70s Tribute Band, and to everybody who hit the stage as part of that evening. What a successful event. And thank you to everyone who did email us in, who really appreciated last week's pod. Thank you. And of course to our Patreon faithful who did get treated to a whole bunch of extras from behind the scenes. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you to everyone for all of your kind words. It's been great to share that with you. All right, let's get into some more listener mail outside of the Kids with Cancer night. There was a lot there. We got an email here from Bethany Russell, who was talking about the Leinster Championships, which are fast approaching, and wondered if we can give them a mention. Of course we can. Yeah, the Leinster Championships are due to take place on the 10th of May. This will be happening in Newbridge House, of course, in Dimension Donegate there in County Dublin. Now, this will be a good run out for a lot of bands ahead of the season. Yeah, now they'll be hosting all grades, from grade 4B all the way through to grade 1, and yeah, as I've said, this will be quite a handy run out at this point in the season. 10th of May, it's well placed in the calendar, so I do know that there will be a lot of bands, especially here in Ireland, but hopefully further afield as well, that will maybe fancy a bit of a run out, especially when they consider that prize money is on offer here. Yes, the winner of grade 1 can pocket some serious cash. I think it's €300 for first place in both the medley and MSR. So if you manage to win both, that's €600 when you're sparring for the road home. Not bad. So if you are interested, of course, you can go and have a look at the IPBA website where the entry requirements and all of your playing and all that stuff, that's all up there now. Go and have a look at it, along with all of your closing dates for entries, which will be the 28th of April. So if you are interested in competing at the Leinster Championships, you have a little bit of time to get your entry forms in. And yeah, as mentioned, this will be quite an interesting run out for a lot of bands just at the right point in the season, I would argue. Yeah, 10th of May. That's interesting right there. And we did manage to hear it on last week's show that St. Lawrence O'Toole actually do plan on competing at this one. So yeah, grade 1 competition on the offering here as well. So Leinster Championships, that's exciting stuff there. So yeah, thank you, Bethany, for that. That's brilliant. Also, we got an email here about an upcoming event called, well, it's the 4th annual tribute to Charlie Cayley. Yes. Now, this was the Charlie Jenkins Memorial Foundation, of course, who are setting this up, and this is all happening on April 12th. It's being held in a place called Riley's Daughter. I think that's the name of a bar, in Oaklawn. Yeah, tickets are $20, and yeah, you'll get a dose of entertainment for your money. You get all sorts of food and drink on offer, and of course, the City of Chicago Pipe Band will be there thumping out some big tunes, along with some Highland dancing, a lot of trad and folk stuff happening as well. Yeah, just a lot happening there. So for more information, of course, you can go and check out the Charlie Jenkins Memorial Foundation on their socials, where they are currently selling tickets for this now. So that's happening on April 12th, and yeah, a lot to enjoy there, actually. Yeah, good stuff. There you are. So I think I have to say, well, there's been a dose of listener mail all on the Kids with Cancer night, just to mention it again. And I'm not going to read every single pick of it because, honestly, I will be here all evening. But just to say thank you to everyone who has emailed us in to say that you've enjoyed it. I know I've already thanked you. I'm doing it again, just for good reason. That was a wealth of email we got following last week's pod, just to say a massive thank you to everyone. Excellent stuff. All right. Let's fly on. You guessed it, after listener mail, bigrabshow@gmail.com, we do open the door to one of our favourite features here on the show, which is Weekly Drone, which is a open microphone to the bagpiping world. Well, you can let us know your stories, your thoughts and opinions, warts and all. Of course, you can go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, big button at the top of the page that says Weekly Drone, and you can let us know your story. Right, so, JD, I believe we have a Weekly Drone for this week, don't we?
It's the Weekly Drone.
A different thought about poaching. Hey Rab, just my 2 cents about the recent kerfluffle. A lot of discussion surrounding the lead drummer's departure from Glasgow Police and Federation has focused on the semantics of the word poaching and whether it's applicable here. I believe this misses the mark entirely, as we're focusing on the wrong word. The word we should be talking about is character, or more specifically, the lack of it. First, the person who made the offer from Shots knew exactly what impact it would have on Glasgow Police if the drummer accepted at such a late stage, but they didn't care. Secondly, the drummer who accepted the offer was fully aware of the consequences his departure would have on his current band. Again, they didn't care. In both cases, personal interests and opportunities were prioritized over the well-being of the band, the team. That's a clear lack of character. If a band member is willing to leave you in the lurch once, they'll do it again whenever it suits them. That's not the kind of person any band at any grade should want. Trusting them again would be impossible. Trusting a leader with the same lack of character would also be highly problematic. In my view, they should both be pariahs to any other band, and if not, don't be surprised when it happens again, which it will. In many projects where a show or performance is being prepared within a tight time frame, it's common to require participants to sign a contract. These contracts essentially commit them to the group or experience from a specific date and ensure they follow through to the end. This is done for the benefit of the group and to prevent situations that leave others in a bind and negatively impact the final product. Failing to do so would be unfair to everyone else involved and undermine all the hard work that's been put in. These type of contracts typically include out clauses for specific situations. For instance, if both band directors agree to the switch, there would be no issue. If an abusive situation arises in the original band, the affected individual could be allowed to transfer with the approval of the RSPBA. Certain life changes could also be included, permitting someone to drop or switch bands after a certain date, with or without RSPBA review. This ensures protection for bands against last-minute departures that can severely impact the group. One argument against a transfer window, or contract, is that they're all just volunteers. However, this isn't a valid point. Volunteers still agree to certain rules and expectations, and the absence of money doesn't absolve them of the responsibilities they have to the team they've committed to. Players who choose to leave their band at a late stage for personal gain without the support of their PM or governing body should not be permitted to join another band until the next season. Their obvious disregard for their bandmates and the integrity of the competition season should not be rewarded.
Weekly Droner. Yes, we are still on that topic of poaching, I guess, and that situation, or kerfuffle, as you called it, where the leadership of one band left to join another. Yes, we've spoke about this topic now for what seems like weeks, and we did focus a lot on that word of poaching because it is quite an emotive word. And I do take my lumps on that perhaps we should have been focusing on other elements of this story rather than the actual act of poaching, I guess. Now, you spoke a lot about the character of the people involved in all of this. And I have to say, I don't believe this shows per character. Now, the reason I'm saying this is I believe it's not a case of poor character. I believe it's a case of poor timing. Had all of this taken place just after the season finished last season, I really believe that this would not be such a huge topic that we would be talking about right now. We've seen changes of leadership happen in pipe bands all the time. And we've seen it happen just like this. An invitation gets extended and it's accepted. And yeah, then there's plans made to actually fill the role, or kind of backfill the role. And the impact is lessened, I guess. But in this circumstance, it was just left at a very bad time. Had this been done earlier, I don't believe we'll be in the situation where we are now, where, of course, we mentioned them there, the Federation Band are now not able to compete because they've been unable to fulfill that role of lead tipper in their back row. However, Shots they have a brand new leader at the helm, and to be honest, it's not good timing for them either. They have to rebuild an entire drum corps, establish a tangible pipe band voice, and they've got a concert this year. Now that's, you talk about timing. Yeah, imagine stepping into a leadership role in grade 1 with one of the top flight bands, then having to be ultra competitive and gunning for that number 1 and number 2 spot. Yeah, and then having to step out on stage at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall and perform for possibly an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of music. That is no small undertaking. And that's been part of the conversation as well. So yeah, it has adversely affected both bands in some ways, some more than others. But yeah, whenever you call into question the character of both the person who accepted the role and also the people who offered the role, I don't believe that does show poor character, in my opinion. It does, however, show poor timing. I do believe that this could have all been handled much, much sooner and would have caused a lot less damage. We did talk about all of this before in previous podcasts, and I do think we've kind of talked this topic to death now at this point. Yeah, it's been a matter of months now since all of this broke, and yeah, things have moved on since then. As we've now seen the announcement from the Federation Band, who have announced that they can no longer compete this season. However, their pipe corps are still working hard behind the scenes, and they do have all sorts of plans to hit the ground running for 2026. And as for Shots, well, they have their work cut out for them. Let's just say that. It's not going to be an easy season for Shots, that's for sure. Especially with a huge pre-Worlds concert and everything else. All of the pressure that's going to be on that band this year is going to be astronomical, and we do wish them the very best. We were really looking forward to hearing them this year, for sure. So that's going to be an interesting one to follow there. So good luck to everyone at Shots and to the Federation Band. And thank you to Weekly Droner for your thoughts and opinions on this one. It's been a matter of debate around dinner tables, of course, for a number of months now. And I'm not saying that we're not going to delve into it again. If you do have any other Weekly Drones, you can send them in, and of course we will bring them to the show. But yeah, I guess we've moved on a little bit since then. And yeah, we are where we are, I think, is kind of the conclusion with this. Yes, it's a pretty rotten situation for both bands. So, yeah, we'll try and make the best of it, I guess. But in my opinion, it's not down to a lack of character. I do believe it's down to a lack of timing. Yeah, but I'm sure you folks out there can absolutely disagree with me, and you can email me in to let me know that this is stuff that Rab got wrong. bigrabshow@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can send me in your weekly drones and say, Rab, you're full of rubbish. Would you ever shut up? There you go. All right, folks. I think that's pretty much it for Weekly Drone. We do have others in the shelves, but we will be bringing those to future episodes. Yeah, because that was quite a long one this week. There you go. All right. Well, with Weekly Drone out of the way, you guessed it. I'm going to take myself a wee break at this point, and I'll be right back with all of the news and updates. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement, and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk. Okay, let's get into the news and updates. Now, folks, seriously, there is a lot that has been happening over the past couple of weeks, I guess. So we are playing a bit of catch-up here. But again, if there is any news stories that we do neglect to mention on this week's show, please do let us know. And you can email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com. And you can let me know. Hey, Rab, you didn't mention this thing about you. Aye, well, you can let me know. All right. Now, I'm going to kick off with things happening down under in New Zealand. Yeah, because this weekend is, of course, the Oceania Solo Drumming Championship. Yeah, the draw for this is now published. It is available online. And yeah, thankfully for all of us here living internationally who may not be able to attend in person, we can tune in and watch it all online. There will be an online live stream. And yeah, I'll definitely be tuning in for this. Now, it will be starting at 4:15 p.m. on Saturday the 5th of April, and that's local time in New Zealand. So yeah, you can do the mathematics and you might have a bit of an early start to go and watch that. But yeah, they're going to be live streaming all of the adult events along with the juvenile 5 grade as well. So yeah, shout out to everyone there in the RNZ-PBA. That's quite an exciting event there. The Oceania Solo Drumming Championship. And of course, that all-important pre-qualification spot is up for grabs. Yeah, so if you are a solo drumming fan, definitely consider going and tuning into that for sure. Now, sticking with the theme of New Zealand, we got quite a huge news story from the city of Invercargill Pipe Band. Did we ever? Yes. I just don't know where to begin with this. It's such a unique opportunity that doesn't come around every day. It's definitely going to be one for everyone to think about. Now, I'm going to read from the press release, and then I'm going to give you it in regular plain English, I guess. The Southland Piping and Drumming Development Trust, or the SPDDT, who operate out of Invercargill in New Zealand, are looking to appoint a piping tutor and a drumming tutor to work alongside their Director of Piping, Alistair McKenzie. Okay, now what this opportunity is, basically, it's the opportunity to go to New Zealand, have a full-time piping or drumming job, teaching and coaching, and yeah, along with one of the best bands in the world. So yeah, this would mean that you'll be educating alongside the Grade 1 band, the Grade 3, the Grade 4B, and along with the 3 juvenile bands that Invercargill have. And yeah, this opportunity does not come around every day. So, starting a new life in New Zealand, you know, and just having a full-time job of piping and drumming. So, for full information on all of this, honestly, there's too much for me to unpack here. I recommend that you do look at the ILT City of Invercargill Highland Pipe Band on their socials. Yeah, they've published all of the details, along with how you can get your applications in, submit your CV and all of that kind of stuff, and all the points of contact are available there for the Southland Piping and Drumming Development Trust. It's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah, such a huge opportunity, genuinely. I do know a lot of people who have already availed of this before and have been part of this program, and I can't recommend it enough. Anyone that I've spoke to before who have moved down to New Zealand and experienced the piping scene there, that's one thing. But to actually be an active part of it and to be, a full-time piping and drumming tutor, that does not come along every day. So what a huge opportunity this would be for anyone who is interested in applying. So my recommendation, go along to the ILT City of Invercargill Highland Pipe Band on their socials. And I think the closing date for this to have all your paperwork in is the 30th of April. And we'll certainly keep you folks across this. And good luck to whoever's going to be applying. But we're going to be very jealous of whoever gets appointed. I have to say, that's such a great opportunity. And if I was a younger man, absolutely, I'd be jumping on a plane with a pair of drumsticks or a chanter saying, hey, come on, let's have a go. Yeah, although I have to say, it would be quite intimidating, I guess, working alongside Alistair McKenzie and the folks there in Invercargill. They're such a successful band for a lot of good reasons. What an opportunity. So, yeah, shout out to them. And to anyone who's going to apply, the best of luck. Well, this is going to be quite a packed weekend for piping and drumming, I have to say. Not only on Saturday the 5th will there be the Oceania Solos in New Zealand, as we just mentioned in Christchurch, but also we're going to see the Kingdom Thistle Solos happening this weekend. Yes, they are the European Solo Snare Drumming Championships, and there's also a dose of piping at this as well. The full draw for the competition, of course, has been published online. You can go and read it all and get your names, I guess. It pretty much reads as a bit of a who's who, I guess. So yeah, the European Solos shaping up to be quite a big competition there. So as I say, that's all taking place this weekend. Yeah, in Lochgilly High School there. So yeah, for full information, you can go along to the rspbi.org where your draw, everything has been published there. Yeah, a lot of information for sure. But yeah, good luck to everyone competing this weekend at the Kingdom Thistle Solos. That's shaping up to be quite a big event. Also, next weekend on the 12th of April is the Ulster Solos. Yeah, we're aware of that, and I think the entries form, so that is now finished. Yeah, I think the deadline is now past us. And we are waiting on the draw and all of the details for the Ulsters, but just good luck in advance. I know there's a lot of people out there who are busy preparing already for the Ulster Solos, so yeah, good luck there, folks. But yeah, we're right in the thick of solo season right now, so yeah, there's a lot to enjoy, but good luck to everyone at the Kingdom Thistle and the Oceania. There's going to be a lot of great piping and drumming action taking place this weekend. Also, speaking of this weekend, I have to give a mention to Tullylagan, of course. Yes, my own pipe band. Tullylagan will be in concert this weekend in the Burnavon Theatre in Cookstown. We were chatting about this last night on Fuse, and it seems to be quite a number of people will be attending this. Yeah, Tullylagan Grade 2 big guns will be there, thumping out some big tunes. And yes, we have heard little rumours that perhaps the Grade 2 band might be unveiling some new music. That's all I'm going to say on that front. But also the development bands will be there. I think I'll be playing at this one as well with a bag under my arm. So yeah, I'm not nervous at all. But also I'll be the compere on the evening as well. So I'll be helping bring the audience through the show, I guess. So looking forward to that. It's always a good night's crack, to be fair. Also, the two Tullylagan bands will be there, but yeah, Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band will be there as well. I think this will be the first opportunity to see Queen Elizabeth in action at this point in the year, so looking forward to seeing them. Also, the William Kerr Memorial Pipe Band, who we've seen little clips of online and stuff, but very excited to see the William Kerr. Of course, being newly upgraded, definitely really keen to hear what they're going to bring to the stage, because I'm hoping to hear a new medley perhaps, or yeah, that's what I love about concerts and stuff. We get to see little sneak peeks of new material. And we're hopeful that that'll happen this weekend in the Burnavon Theatre in Cookstown. Yeah, Tullylagan in concert. Fantastic. Speaking of new material, by the way, we were talking about that new medley from St. Lawrence O'Toole. We have to talk about the new medley from Inverary, don't we? Oh, baby! Did you guys hear it or did you not? I think pretty much at this point, everyone has heard it. Yeah, Inverarian District, of course, were in concert in Frankfurt in Germany, and we did mention it at the time that this would be quite an exciting show for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, one of the biggest reasons is that they sprung a surprise on their audience and they unveiled their brand new competitive medley for this incoming season. Now, I want to call it the Dream Valley Medley. All right? Now, of course, for those of you who've heard it, you probably know exactly the reason why I'm calling it that. But this is not your usual competitive pipe band medley. All right, now we spoke earlier about St. Lawrence O'Toole having like an orchestral kind of presentation. Well, this takes it another step further. The arrangement of this medley selection is so interesting, and I've listened to it now, I don't know, countless times. And we played it last night on Fuse, and a lot of people really seem to love it. I think one of the standout moments is honestly the theme that continues throughout the entire presentation. You know, it echoes back and forward, and then there's a reprise, and then there's another. Anyway, I'm not going to, again, wax lyrical here, but it's not often you hear a pipe band whenever it comes to the end of their set. You don't often hear pipe bands slow down. And that's exactly what Inverary does here. And the musical impact it has is just breathtaking. Honestly, I have listened to this set so many times, and to hear a pipe band towards the end of the set, rather than start going a million miles an hour with all sorts of pipe and fireworks, they slow down and they let the music sing. And if anything, I have to give full credit to Stephen McWhirter and the back line. Yeah, the drum corps really do help the medley line shine through. They don't overpower it with thumping big rhythms and everything. No, all sorts of subtlety involved here, and it kind of reaches a natural conclusion as if you were listening to a piece of classical music. So genuinely, folks, if you haven't listened to it yet, do yourself a favor. The video has went kind of viral from that concert for that reason. It now has tens of thousands of views. It's been everywhere online, and for very good reason. We're starting to see piping being pushed in a new direction here, and Vereri taking some, not risks or gambles, that's the wrong sort of word, but yeah, taking some artistic license here and taking piping in a direction I don't believe it's been before. Yeah, if you haven't heard it, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but trust me, go and have a listen to it. That brand new medley selection that was unveiled by Inverary in Frankfurt, that was something special for sure. Yeah, definitely worth a listen. All right, seeing how we're plugging competitions that were fast approaching, I have to give a mention to the North of Scotland branch, who put out the draw for the Gordon Schools Huntley competition. Yeah, a lot of the branches in Scotland are having some small minor competitions across, and I don't know, it's been really interesting to watch this last while. So, yeah, the draw for the Gordon Schools Huntley competition is now available and has competition all the way from Grade 4B up to Grade 1. So you can go and have a watch at that for sure if you do plan to attend. So, yeah, just good luck to everyone who's entered there. Quite a number of bands for this, actually. So, yeah, 19th of April, that's taking place. And, yeah, just shout out to the North of Scotland branch. And, yeah, your full draw details are up there now. All right, seeing how we're in plugging territory, I guess. We have to talk about Edinburgh Tradfest, don't we? Yeah. They've announced details of its 2025 programme, and the event itself will kick off on May 2nd all the way through to May the 12th, and there is tons of bagpiping available here. I have to give a shout out to Ross Ainsley, who'll be there with his Sanctuary Band. Also, Finlay MacDonald will be there as well. I think there's also all sorts of master classes as well. One with Alan MacDonald on Pembroke, which that's going to be interesting. Also, we have all sorts of like tribute concerts and things. Way too much for me to mention here. For full information, go along to edinburghtradfest.com. Lots of great bagpiping action to be across there. Honestly, at this point, there's way too much for me to mention. But yeah, lots of great piping action to be out there. It's part of Edinburgh Tradfest. Those are just a couple of the shows that I had my eye on. But yeah, that's going to be all sorts of great stuff for piping fans there. Great stuff. Also, just to mention, I know it's a ways off, but I do want to put this date in your diary. The Dollar Academy are hosting a pipe band competition on the 24th of May. Now, the reason we're giving this a bit of a plug is because we believe there'll be quite a number of our Grade 1 big guns who are going to be stepping out on the grass at this one. Yeah, as we know, the venue at Dollar Academy can absolutely cram in a pipe band competition and then some. Yeah, we've heard a lot of great reports about this venue at Dollar Academy, and this one will be shaping up to be quite a cool competition by all regards. So, as far as I'm aware, the entry forms are still currently open, so we don't have a draw or anything to speak about yet, but just to get that date in your diary, folks, 24th of May, competition at Dollar Academy, is shaping up to be a big one because of where it's placed in the calendar. As you mentioned earlier, competitions in May can be pretty important before the kickoff of our major championship, which kicks off in July. So, perhaps a little run or two out in May and early June can give opportunity to tweak and fix things ahead of the first major on the 12th of July. Yeah. So, Dollar Academy, 24th of May. That's a competition we'll be keeping a keen eye on for that one. We do think that's going to be shaping up to be quite a big event, that. So, yeah, we'll keep you posted on any future developments. But for now, get that date in your diary. Okay, now I'm just going to throw this in as part of the news and updates. But I'm sure for anyone who is going to be attending, will probably already be there by the time this week's episode publishes. Yeah, I have to give a mention to the Blackthorn Piping Society. Yes, because right now, at the point of me recording this, on the 2nd of April, they have opened their doors at the Discover Ulster Scott Centre in Belfast, and this month, the featured piper is Scott Wallace. Yes, there you go. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to say, but yeah, shout out to everyone there at the Blackthorn Piper Society. Possibly at the point of me recording this, they're already publishing videos from that event. So do go and check them out on their socials. Yeah, they'll have to give full credit to Rhys Doherty, actually, at the last one. Whew. Wow, some of the tunes he played, man, at the Blackthorn. Wow. Anyway, what an amazing organisation, honestly, that throw these monthly sessions and have their allocated Blackthorn Piper. And honestly, it is kind of prestigious if your name does get drawn as the Piper. Yeah, what an interesting one that is. Scott Wallace, we haven't seen Scott actually playing solo for quite a while. Yeah, brilliant to see him back again. So, hi, Scott, looking forward to hearing you, buddy. As soon as I hit publish on this week's episode, I'll be over there to the Blackthorn Piping Society and watching their videos. Good stuff. Okay, I have to give a brief mention to a solo piping competition that took place there a while ago, which was the Pipe Major Donald McLeod MBE Memorial Competition. And I have to say, full congratulations to the overall winner, Angus McCaw. Yes, well done, Angus. Second overall, of course, was Alistair Henderson. Quite a competitive event, that, I have to say. And yeah, when you read through the list of winners, you can see why. It kind of reads as a bit of a who's who of the solo piping world. So yeah, quite a cool competition, that. So big thanks to the Lewis and Harris Piping Society. And yeah, that competition, the Donald McLeod MBE Memorial, quite a huge one, that. Excellent stuff. So for full information, of course, go and check out the Lewis and Harris Piping Society. They have all that detail up there about who won what and where, and along with some video performances from the event itself. So yeah, it seemed to be really well attended and ultra competitive as well. So well done everyone there involved. Okay, now I'm going to have to mention this, alright? Now I know we've already mentioned it in previous shows, but I'm going to talk about fake or scam pages, alright? Now this, I don't know what's going on this season, but it seems to be absolutely rife. It's everywhere. And our own RSPBA have fallen victim to this themselves. Yes, they put it across their socials, warning everyone to be aware of fake or scam pages, and that all information will be shared on the official RSPBA website or on their official social media channels. The reason this has been put out, well, even myself in recent days, I have noticed all sorts of pages being created for major championship. Notably here, closer to home, the All-Ireland Pipe Band Championship magically has a new page on social media, which is, that's a fake. Also, I've noticed all sorts of ones for the UKs, the Euros, even the Worlds, and yeah, they all send me friend requests. You know, do you want to be a friend of the World Championships? What? Yeah, please be careful, folks, of these fake sites, alright? Now, a lot of them are offering tickets for these events, or even links for online live streams where you have to pay money to get access to them. My advice is to completely ignore all of these. And if you do come across them and you have the time, then perhaps, yeah, send in a report and let them know that this is a fake account. Yeah, these scammers or people like that online they're after your information. Yeah, too many times now have I been hearing stories of people who have fallen victim to all sorts of online scams where they click on a link that promises a live stream for a piping event, and then they find themselves having to give over a credit card. And then they wonder, hold on, why am I paying for a live stream of a competition? And they didn't say that we're going to charge for it. My advice is, if you do find yourself having to put in any kind of personal information to get access to any sort of piping content, really, really think twice about it. In fact, don't give out any of your personal details to any of these fake sites. All right? For good reason. You know, we don't want your bank account to be cleaned out by, scammers. So please be aware of this online. And that's kind of what it takes nowadays. You know, the internet is a dangerous place. So if you do find yourself, trying to get the live stream for the County Antrim Championships, for example, and you find yourself typing in a credit card, stop immediately. No, do not do that. Yeah, so there you go. That's our advice. Please be very cautious when accessing things online. These scam pages really seem to be rife at the moment, and we have no explanation for it. We don't know why it's happening, but we do know that the bagpiping world is currently being targeted by these scam artists who do think that perhaps us piping fans could be a soft touch. So, my advice, please be wary of them. Do stick to the original and official sources. That is the advice. So if you do want to access ourselves on Rab Show, absolutely, click on all of our links. They're all perfectly safe. But anything outside of that, just, be cautious. I'm going to give a mention to WAPOL, the Western Australia Police Pipe Band. Yes, they put out an advertisement on their socials not too long ago for quite an interesting opportunity. Yeah, they're looking for expressions of interest for local pipers and drummers to audition to play with the band at an upcoming concert. Yeah, this will be taking place on the 2026 Nationals in Perth. Yeah. So honestly, this is a fantastic opportunity for players to develop their skills and to work towards playing in a Grade 1 band. So if you are interested and would like to express an interest in playing with the band, then they have all sorts of information up on their socials where you can apply. Yeah, so along with all of the details of what you have to do as part of your audition. But hey, what a brilliant opportunity right there. You can get your application in now and then start working towards quite a huge concert at Nationals next year. That's going to be exciting. So good luck to everyone there at WAPOL. And if you are curious and would like to apply and be part of that Grade 1 Big Gun, now's your opportunity. Yeah. Also, speaking of opportunities down under, I have to give another mention to the RNZ PBA, where auditions for their 2025 Youth Band program are now open. Yeah, this is your chance to join others up-and-coming Kiwi pipers and drummers in a program which will upskill you. I don't know if upskilling, is that a word? Yeah, but there you go, up to the age of 23. Old hands like me need not apply. The applications are due by the 20th of April, and successful applicants will be notified by the 3rd of May. So if you do want to be part of that youth band program, now's your opportunity. Go to the RNZ PBA on their website and everything. It has all of the information you need, including how to submit your YouTube recordings of your audition. I think they actually detail what you need to play here. It's an MSR and a hornpipe and jig of your own choice. But there's ways that you need to record it and submit it to the association. So there you go. RNZPBA.com for all of that information. And good luck to everyone who does want to be a part of that youth band program. Honestly, we've been singing the praises of it over this last number of years. It's such an interesting venture, and a lot of the participants from it do gain an awful lot from it. Yeah, so full credit to everyone there at the RNZ PBA. That's another exciting opportunity for young players up until the age of 23. There you are. Applications close 20th of April. Good luck, everyone. Okay, I'm almost out of news stories. One thing I really need to mention, okay? A good friend of the show, and we've been mentioning this product now for years, and we got quite an exciting announcement from them. Linda's Personalized Flashes. Now, we've been talking about this product now, as we mentioned, for years, but for good reason. It's such a high quality product, honestly. And the flashes can be absolutely personalized to either the individual or the band that has purchased them. We're seeing a lot of our top flight bands even wearing these. So yeah, shout out to Linda's personalized flashes. The reason we're giving them a plug this week is, well, the upcoming UK Championships in Edinburgh on July 12th will see a stall there from Linda's personalized flashes. I think this is absolutely a first. Now, Linda has obviously been working online through her socials now since the outset. This is the first time she'll be actually hosting an actual bona fide stall at a major championship. So, yeah, we just want to throw our weight behind it and say, hey, go and see Linda. Check out their personalized flashes. They're absolutely stellar. I have a Big Rab Show set, and honestly, I can't fault them. They're absolutely brilliant. They look amazing. And the quality of the printing on them is just outstanding. Anyway, so shout out to Linda and her personalised flashes. And yeah, definitely consider going along and checking out her stall at the UK Championships in Edinburgh on the 12th of July. Brilliant stuff there. Okay, so before I wrap everything up with the news and updates, and I know there's a few things that has hit the cutting room floor, apologies for that. I need to move on though. I have to say a massive thank you to everyone who did send me birthday wishes. Yes, yesterday was my birthday, and no, it wasn't an April Fool. Another year older and no wiser, as they say here in Northern Ireland. But yeah, I have to give special mention to a good friend of the show, Andrew O'Sullivan, who did manage to play my 6/8 tune that he wrote for me back in the early 2020, I think, 2020, 21, something like that. So yeah, he played Rab Lennox of Marfeld, which is just a brilliant tune. Absolutely loved it, and yeah, played it for my birthday. So thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate that. And yeah, if you do want to go and check out that performance, we have shared it across our socials. It is a very good tune, by the way. So yeah, and Andrew plays it well. So go and check it out. Right, folks, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there for the news and updates. Honestly, there's been a lot of piping and drumming over this past week, and it's just really difficult to cover every aspect of it. So, of course, if there is anything that we neglected to mention, please do give us an email. bigrabshow@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll do our best to catch up with any news that we managed to miss on this week's show, and we'll bring it to next week's. But I think for now, it's time for me to go and get myself a big cup of tea. Yeah, it's time for the topic of the week. Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies. For all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs. Wallace Bagpipes. Quality, pride and passion. Made in Scotland. Proud bagpipe supplier to the Red Hot Chili Pipers. From the most basic of sets to the most elaborate, they have something for everyone. Also offering bagpipe repairs and restoration. From a simple makeover to a full overhaul. From a chipped mount to a complete replacement. Wallace Bagpipes have you covered. Visit wallacebagpipes.com for more information or contact your nearest dealer.
Hi, this is Elias Alexander, and you're listening to The Big Rab Show.
Okay, time for topic of the week. And you've waited this long to find out about a multi-instrumentalist who is taking bagpiping in a whole new direction. Yes, Elias Alexander. Now, I'm sure there'll be quite a few of you out there that would recognise that name. However, there may also be quite a few who may not. Yeah, especially those who are not on social media, I guess. Especially the likes of TikTok, which is where I discovered his music for the first time. And yeah, there's a wealth of great music coming from Elias. So yeah, I think why delay any further? Let's get into the conversation with the man himself. So, welcome to the show, Elias Alexander. How are you? Are you well?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
Well, if anything, I've been looking forward to talking to you now for a while. I first discovered your music in all places, TikTok. But what a random place to find blistering piping, I thought. Tell us about that and your work on social media.
Oh my goodness, what a place to start. Well, for the longest time I kind of resisted social media and I didn't really get what to do with it or what I should put on it and then I had a video go viral on Instagram. It went less viral on TikTok, but it did get a few 100,000 views or something. But it was just a video that I posted. I thought I'll try what everybody else is doing, which is what I was seeing lots of people doing in like the pop music space. I'll
Yeah.
try um, taking the audio of a finished track and taking a video of myself playing along to it. So the video looks very casual. I'm just in my room. I'm playing the fiddle in this case. But the audio is like the finished, mixed, mastered audio. So it sounds really good. And I think I just was noticing that's what everyone was doing when they were taking little videos of themselves playing their songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just thought I'll just try that, and it just worked, and it just really went off. And so since then, I thought, okay, well, I better take this seriously, and I better put more time into this because the truth is that social media has given musicians from every genre the ability to really create their own their own like community around their music, and all that matters is that you're doing something that people like, and so it's kind of it's a blessing and a curse because you have to put a lot of work into it. A lot of us musicians we don't want to do video editing. I don't particularly enjoy video editing, but I do it and shooting videos because when you find people through social media and they fall in love with your music and what you do, that's your ticket to being able to go play bigger shows and play festivals and so it's kind of a miracle because in the past it would be maybe you had to be seen by a powerful person at a record label or something, and these days you can just do it yourself, and it's an amazing feeling to have that kind of upswelling of support of people saying, wow, I really love this, just because they saw a video somewhere. So
Yeah, absolutely. It can open doors for sure. So, can you tell us a bit about your music then? You are, well, pretty much you mentioned it already. You're a multi-instrumentalist, and you play many different instruments. Can you tell us about how you got started even in the world of traditional music?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I started playing traditional music because my mom used to live in Scotland. My mom's American, but she lived in Scotland for a while, and she took me there for kind of a reunion when I was young, and showed me around and showed me some of the music that she had listened to. And basically, I at that point, I think I just fell in love with the pipes. And started taking lessons from Murray Huggins, who is an amazing player and teacher and pipe maker. His company is called Colin Keogh Bagpipes. And he lives near me in Southern Oregon, and I was just very lucky to have him as a teacher. And so I started doing piping, and then I really kind of found my way into the more trad side of things, just by seeing some music, seeing a few different groups play and stuff, and kind of pretty quickly when I was about 16, I was kind of like, I think that I'm way more interested in just like playing traditional music than I am in like competition stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you been involved in competitive bagpiping and all of that
I
world?
did competitive piping but until I was around that age. Just solo stuff. There was no band where I lived.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But then, obviously, with the trad and folk stuff, there's a lot more freedom there, and you seem to be having a lot of fun with it this last while.
Yeah, well, I mean, so there was a whole period when I studied, I studied from a few other teachers, Tim Cummings in Vermont especially, and then I was living in Boston and I was playing a lot of trad stuff. I wasn't into the electronic stuff yet. I was writing pop songs and I was producing songs on my computer the whole time. But I was basically not that was just for myself, and I was playing a lot of trad out with a lot of different bands. I was in a lot of different groups, and I was in I got involved with playing with a lot of musicians that played like Irish music, Irish traditional music in
Hmm.
Boston. especially. And I was just enthralled by the way that people played variations on the flute and on the fiddle, and really like played the tune very differently every time and explored that. And coming from the traditional way of instruction on the Highland pipes,
Mm.
I hadn't been introduced to that. I hadn't been introduced to the idea of how you play the tune differently every time whatsoever. And so it took me a really long time to kind of wrap my head around that and to start kind of deconstructing what was actually going on in tunes and finding moments where I could change it up and play it in my own way and expressively, and also kind of decouple grace notes from like the page, from the written page, what
Yeah.
you have to play versus what you can play. And so yeah, so that was a whole process that took me a long time. And then even learning how to play improvised solos, which I kind of learned because I was in a band with a bunch of horn players playing like we called it Afro-Celtic funk, and it was like Scottish music,
Oh,
Senegalese.
sounds cool. Yeah.
That was kind of Solsha that I was in. So anyway, so yeah, it was kind of a journey of like of kind of taking in these other influences and making that part of my piping. And then the electronic music thing happened during the pandemic.
I see, just discovering all of that world. And now
Yeah.
you're injecting bagpipes into EDM, as they call it now, electronic dance music and all of that. How have you found that?
Well, the story that I'll tell the story about kind of how it happened, which is really
Mm.
that in the early days of the pandemic during the lockdowns, there were all these online events, and a friend of mine asked me to put together some music for an online Kaylee, and and I thought, well, I'm going to be recording this anyway, so I could just play some tunes and back myself up on the guitar or something. But instead, why don't I just try to make some kind of like poppy electronic kind of like dance music piece that people can dance to at home. And so because I was, like I said, I was like kind of doing like pop music production on the side,
Yeah.
and so I made the first thing I made was fiddle disco, and just basically took a pretty kind of, yeah, standard like disco chord progression and groove, and found a tune that worked with it and adjusted it into that, and then and yeah, and then from there it was like I made a few of them, and then somebody was like, "Oh, can you do an online show, like an hour-long show?" So I made some more, and then my friend Kaylee Schmidt, who runs the Bellingham Irish Festival, Bellingham Folk Festival, she in Bellingham, Washington, she was like, "Oh, can you do this live in October 2021?" And she asked me in the spring, and then I spent about 9 months feverishly watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out how I could achieve this live. And I
Yeah.
ended up using Ableton Live and doing a bunch of looping with loopers that are set up in Ableton, as well as bringing in beats and samples and all that kind of stuff. And the reaction was really great to that first show. So I was kind of like, oh my God, I think I've stumbled on something that is really working, and it just became, it kind of went from, oh, a silly fun thing that I'm just doing for fun, to being like, wow, I think this is kind of like I think this is like my main expression in the world. And for me, it's not just tunes and beats. Like, I write songs as well, and the songs are very much in the show, and there'll be a song, and then I'll have a tune that's in the same piece of music. And kind of just trying to set myself free, basically, to do whatever feels good and whatever feels like it expresses like what I want to say.
Excellent. Yeah. So bringing those Scottish influences into electronic dance music, you might not think that it's a natural fit, but I have to say, Elias, you're definitely making it fit. It just sounds amazing. Is it something that you actively work on, bringing that through?
Well, to be honest, it feels very natural. Like
Mm.
it doesn't feel like a struggle at all to make these things work together. And that's because like when we're talking about jigs and reels, like we're talking about dance music. Like these are tunes that were written to make people jump around wildly. I mean, that's why they exist. And they're not always used in that context now. With since the folk revival and all this, we've had, a lot of sit down trad concerts. But that's what that's why they came into being. And so adding the low end, basically adding the kick drum and the bass, and then adding synths and percussion that highlight different rhythms in the tunes, and create an atmosphere around them, and all that is like, it just feels so natural. It's just like, it's dance music. We are used to, in our day and age, we're used to hearing music that really fills up the full spectrum of frequencies, from like 20 to 10K or whatever. And so when you kind of add that to it, I think it hits people in a different way. And one of the cool things about this project that I've started to experience is that, like, most of the people that come to my shows are not people that are familiar with trad music at all. They're coming to the show because they love dance music, they love to dance, they love electronic music, and then they come, and then they're kind of like, oh my God, bagpipes, oh my God, fiddle, and they get to feel the rhythm of it. And I've always felt so passionate about this that when I listen to trad, when I listen to like regular, just like straight ahead pure drop trad, like I feel it, in my body. Like, it feels very funky to me. Like it's so expressive, it's so dynamic, it's so creative, it's so exciting. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily hear it in that way. A lot of people sort of hear it and maybe don't feel it in that way. And like non-traddy people, muggles sometimes, they get referred to that. And so when combining with these beats that are kind of highlighting rhythms in the tune, it's like suddenly people can take in the tunes and experience them as with just as much excitement as I do. And that feels so satisfying, because for whatever reason, I've always just like really wanted more people to appreciate trad music and the beauty that's in it.
I think you're succeeding for sure. Yeah, the one thing the piping audience would be pretty guilty of would be over analytical of everything. Oh, that D's a bit off, maybe put a bit of tape on that top hand, etc., etc. But the trad and folk scene, you're not really getting into the analysis. You're not really saying, oh, he dropped a grace note there, things like that. So that's not concerning you as you're playing, I guess. So you found that freedom, yeah.
Well, grace notes and that, to me, they're tools. They're rhythmic tools. They're expressive tools. Mm-hmm. Why would you play it the same way every single time when you could do something different with it? And I mean, it's the difference. Like, you could take a note and you could make it into, you could put a triplet on it, or you could put a doubling on it, or you could put a grip on it, or you could bend it a little bit, or you could, there's so many different things that you could do with a passage, and they're just expressive tools. So it's like, yeah, I'm thinking about that when I'm playing. I'm thinking about doing what I want to do with it, but I'm not thinking about getting it right. And I think that's something that I have found that is very deadening in music. If you're thinking about getting it right when you're playing, I think your head's in the wrong spot, because you should be thinking about expressing yourself. There
you go. Yeah, that's one thing that competitive players can get very stuck in the mud with, I think. Yeah. So when we're talking about piping and all of that, can you tell us about your own particular setup then? Your actual instrument itself. How do you get it to play in harmony with everything else? What are you playing at the moment?
Well, good question. So I actually made the dubious decision to play my show in concert A440.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I'm on an A chanter. Yeah, it's an A chanter made by E.J. Jones, who's an amazing pipe maker. North Carolina, I think maybe he's moved now, but anyway, he makes a chanter that's kind of it's inspired by the Hamish Moore concert A chanter. Right. But I really like EJ's one, and I use a Melvin Reed with it currently. And that's what I'm playing for my electronic shows.
Right.
It's interesting because it is harder to get it in. It is harder to get it in tune, but it has a bit of a different sound than your kind of competition or even your concert B flat chanter.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because I think maybe it hits people a little bit differently.
It kind of cuts through a bit more, I think, than the others. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
harmonizes.
I've started to use my B flat chanter, my concert B flat chanter as well, which is a Shepherd concert
Hmm.
B flat chanter, Shepherd orchestral chanter. In the show for one, I wrote a new song it's in concert G minor, which is F sharp minor on that chanter, and so I switch it out mid show and play that one song on it.
There you
Uh,
go.
but yeah, it's mostly on the A one.
There you
And
go.
that
That's
means I
interesting.
can do all the stuff in standard tuning. Like I don't have to tune my fiddle up. I don't have to have whistles and flat
Yeah.
keys and all
You
that.
don't have to adjust everything else just to match your pipes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's quite clever, actually. So for those of you out there who are considering and playing, maybe just pick a key and stick with it. Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us then about the future for yourself? I think 2025 is shaping up to be quite an exciting year for you.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's kind of wild. I'm playing a lot of festivals this year and stuff, and it sort of blows my mind. I thought when I started doing this that maybe I was kind of waving goodbye to the trad world a little bit, and I just assumed kind of people would judge me and kind of be like, oh, this is not worthy of of the trad scene
Yeah,
or whatever. It's
yeah.
electronic stuff, and but actually instead the reaction has been like totally the opposite. Like all these festivals that I dreamed of playing when I was in like trad bands, acoustic trad bands, now are reaching out, and I'm playing uh I'm doing like kind of an around the world trip in a month or so. I'm going to Australia to play the National Folk Fest there, and then
Oh,
I'm going to play
brilliant.
in Italy, and then I'm going over to Scotland to play Shetland Folk Fest. And then later in the summer I'll be back in Scotland to play Hebkelt, um,
Oh,
and a few
brilliant.
other things, which will be really fun. So yeah, doing those and doing and tons of stuff in the States as well, and it's kind of amazing to feel it, to kind of feel it happening like that. And I think what's most meaningful to me is that I just get to be my whole self. I get to play all the instruments. I get to make all the music that I want to make. And that I'm just so grateful, like that I sort of stumbled into this thing where I get to do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm so glad that you did stumble that direction, honestly. It's been so fantastic listening to the music, and I can't wait to hear more. But yeah, I wish you best of luck on your travels. Can you tell us then, have you any plans for any new music in the pipeline also?
Yes, actually, I've been working so hard. I just finished 8 days in Nashville of album recording. So there is actually an album that is going to come out this year, hopefully late
Oh,
spring, early summer. I'm going to start releasing a few singles like toward the end of this month, and so there's a lot of new music coming from me. It's been a little bit slow because we've been assembling it and figuring out what it's going to be, but it's coming soon, and I'm really, really excited about that.
oh, fantastic. Well, you're going to have to keep us posted on that. I'm going to want to tune into that for sure, and maybe get it spun on the radio here too. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that'd be amazing.
For sure. So, well, I have to say a massive thank you for joining us on the show this week. And hey, for those of you who haven't checked out Elias's music, please do check out the links in the show notes right now. Where all the links, you can go and check it out. And do make sure to make some purchases too. Absolutely. Elias, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
So much. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Fantastic. And again, a huge thank you to Elias for joining us here on the show. And as I've said, the links are all in the show notes where you're listening right now. Or you can just type it into your search engine, Elias Alexander, and you can find all of his music, of course, all across all of the social media platforms. And yeah, we'll definitely be keeping you clued in if there are any upcoming releases. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of great music to come. Fantastic. So there you go. Quite an interesting topic of the week this week. And yeah, definitely taking bagpiping in a new direction. And that's kind of a current trend that we're seeing. That bagpiping is definitely, yeah, cutting new paths in different musical genres. And it's really interesting to see. Yeah. And not only for solo pipers, but also for pipe bands. Yeah. Anyway, that's another topic for a future show, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for downloading this week. That's pretty much it for this week's Big Rab Show. And don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show. And if you haven't already, please do hit that follow button or subscribe button no matter where you're listening to us right now. And yeah, you'll be kept up to date with every episode. Each and every Wednesday, we're here. We never miss a show talking about what we know and love. Yeah, sure, where else would you be?
Folks, that's it. I am out the door. What's going to be a very busy weekend in bagpiping, and no doubt we'll catch up again next week to unpack it all. Yeah, I don't know. This is only April, and I don't know, man. We have definitely hit the ground running, even before the season has started. What's going on? Anyway, we'll wrap things up for this week, and no doubt we'll be back again on Fuse next week for even more bagpiping goodness over there. And of course, we'll be back here in the pod next week to unpack more that's happening in the piping scene. So, everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch us all in the next one. All the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.